Hello. You brought up a very good point. Well, people using the SAMR model will be familiar with using technology, but the problem is that they lack the necessary background knowledge for education. And that is a very common problem in the US, especially here in China, is that we'll have teachers that will be teaching, but they don't have a background in education. They may have the teaching certification or TEFL that gives them somewhat of a background, but it is not in depth enough. And I do acknowledge that because currently, even here at work, we have teachers that have bachelors in, uh, was it hotel management services and other various degrees that obviously don't have really any connection with education, but they have that BA and they have that TEFL that gives them the quote unquote teacher status. Um, so one way they do make up, or schools try to make up for this lack of knowledge, is that they do personal development and teacher workshops. While we will personal development, we will kind of go over some methodologies. I find it still quite not as in depth enough to put it to say the least, because we'll work on it. We'll talk about it for 2 or 3 hours, but then again, after that, a week later, yeah, it doesn't come back up again for like, okay, this is our PD for the semester or for the month, and then we'll come back to it a month later um, with very little reflection or input, or even sometimes they don't even carried out. So I don't agree with it, but that's the way the school runs things, and I'm pretty sure it's similar in other schools where they do personal development or they teach you about a method, but they only bring it up maybe once for 2 or 3 hours and then it's gone. So the only way I can actually say that the get proper background knowledge is to actually go to school for it. That's kind of the only way, because that's the only time they're going to basically force you to learn it and you have to know it. Otherwise, you don't pass the grade. But in a work setting, they just kind of want to cover it. They don't necessarily force you to do it. So you can be there and take it in, and it would be a very helpful to you. And then the majority of the teachers don't take it in. They just kind of, okay, we're here, let's get this over with, which is not exactly the best way to go about things, but that's their personal choice. So um, that's all I can really recommend going to school for, or actually taking the time to actually build that knowledge from reflection and also examining through experiences throughout the years of education that you've been in there. So there is really no good answer to your question that how can teachers build their knowledge beforehand. It's really up to the person if they choose to do it, whether if they have to do it, because most teachers can get by without actually having to do that work. Well, it does help to build that background knowledge. Many people say, well, it's not really worth the effort. My time is limited. They have an excuse. So that's pretty much all I have to say on the subject, and I hope you have a good day.